Alright guys, here's my review for the DYS video transmitter. It's capable of 25 to 200 milliwatts of output, has a built-in microphone, a button to change your bands, frequencies, and power output, comes with a 5-pin connector, also comes with a 2-pin connector, and probably my most favorite part about it is this SMA extension, allowing you to screw this into your top plate if your top plate does support that hole that's needed for it. But I will add that it does not come with the screw for it. Ideally, you would want to place one of these on the bottom, put it through, and then put this locking washer on top of that, and then you have a screw. It doesn't come with any of this. Thankfully, I had this just laying around. This 2-pin connector, from my understanding, I have not tried it out yet, and honestly, I'm probably not going to try it out, but you can plug this into the video transmitter and then place the other end on a receiver that has both, let's say, PPM or S-Bus plus PWM outputs. I think a great receiver for that would be the FreeSky X4R SB, because you get S-Bus plus 3 additional PWM pins. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I think that's only to change the power output. Now, this receiver does come with directions, and it specifically mentions the FreeSky X4R SB, but I believe this is only to change the power output, not your bands and frequencies like you can with the Triumph or the TBS VTx. So the way I see it, I mean, I guess that's kind of cool, but I would rather just hold this button down for 5 seconds, and that will allow you to switch from 25 to 200 milliwatts or vice versa. As far as the 5-pin connector, you get your video coming in, ground, 5 volt out, 5 volt in, and another ground. What this means is you can power the video transmitter with 5 volts and a ground, and then it will actually pass through the VTx and then come back out. And the 5-pin connector actually has a 3-pin connector on the other side, so you can just plug this right into your camera, and all the wiring is already done for you. Now that's all the basics. So here's what I think about it, and why I'm not actually giving you flight footage, and why I probably don't recommend this video transmitter. So far, I have had nothing but problems out of this thing. Now, I did review a cheap Banggood video transmitter, actually 2 separate ones, last week. One of them actually liked a lot, the other one not so much, and I noticed in the comments a lot of guys were saying that it could have been damaged right out the box or something like that, and that's why the performance wasn't that great. Even though I did take this meter and run a test on it, it was rated for 600 milliwatts, but it actually output about, what was it, 520, 530, something like that. So here's my thing, and this video transmitter is the same way. Well, for one, I've already run the RF test on it, and it's not getting anywhere close to 200 milliwatts. With this set to 200, it was coming in a lot lower than that. And then when I set this to 25 milliwatts, it's actually not outputting anything. I'm just getting 0. I thought that was strange, but I went ahead and hooked up my camera and everything like that just to see what the picture quality was like before I go out and fly it and give you guys some flight footage. I have a brand spanking new Runcam Swift. I took this right out of the box, put this on this video transmitter and tested it out. I was getting nothing but a black screen. I ran all the tests, all the checks, and everything checked out fine. So I thought, well, maybe it's just a bad camera. So I actually have 2 brand spanking new Runcam Swifts. Plug this one in, and instead of getting just a black screen, I was getting a little bit of video, but not much at all. That made me start thinking either the video transmitter is bad, or it sucks, or I have 2 bad cameras right out the box, which the chances of that happening is extremely rare. So I took a 3rd camera off of another quad that I know works, plugged that in, and it started working. So then I thought, well, maybe it's these cameras. But the other camera I used was not a Runcam Swift, it was a Runcam Owl. So then I started thinking, well, maybe the Runcam Owl draws less current, because the thing is, I personally hate video transmitters that can only be powered with 5 volts. I think that is the most stupid thing ever. I'm fine with the ones that can only be powered with 12 volts, And I love the ones that can be powered with the full voltage of your battery, because then you can just solder your wires right on top of your battery leads or anywhere else on your PDB where it's getting the full voltage, and you don't have to worry about any regulators. And because there's no regulators, you don't have to worry about anything overheating. Now on our flight controllers, we have the receiver, sometimes the camera, video transmitter, sometimes an external on-screen display, LEDs, maybe other things, and they're all being powered with 5 volts. Video transmitters draw more current than anything else by a lot. I mean, this is going to be half of your current alone. The directions state that it draws 500 milliamps. Also, by the way, they say that the weight is 6 grams. That's a lie. We see here that it actually weighs 9 or 9.5 grams, which isn't that big of a deal. I'm not being that picky over 2 or 3 grams. I'm just letting you guys know. So back to what I was saying. When I'm running these tests and having all these problems, well, originally I placed this on one of the earlier versions of the Omnibus that has the built-in 1.5 amp regulator, and that was not enough whatsoever. The flight controller just kept resetting itself because the voltage regulator is getting too hot, and you know, the more heat, the less current it can output, and it just wasn't enough. And I would imagine it wasn't enough to even supply enough current to the processor, which would make it start resetting itself. So then I switched out the Omnibus for the DYS F4 that has a 3 amp 5 volt regulator, thinking that should be enough. And all the tests I ran on this was with that 3 amp voltage regulator, and I was still having those problems. So then I thought, well, maybe it's just the flight controller. So I'm going to use an actual PDB that has a 5 volt regulator built in, and this specific one is rated for 2 amps with a max of 2.5. At that point, I did actually get video from both of these cameras, but the video still wasn't that great. Not only that, but the video transmitter gets really hot. And also, the voltage regulator from anything I'm powering this thing off of gets really hot, because like I said, not only are we powering a camera and receiver and everything else, we are now tying in a video transmitter drawing 500 milliamps from that same regulator, which is going to overheat your regulators. So honestly, I just don't know what to think, and this is why I'm not giving you any flight footage, because honest to God, I'm actually scared to go fly with this video transmitter. I do not trust it one bit. Now maybe some of you guys have tried this out and maybe you have had better luck. I'm just going to end this video by saying, and it's the same thing with this one and the last one I reviewed from Banggood, I'm giving both of these poor reviews because of poor quality of video. Now some people could say, well, it could be damaged right out the box. But then again, if you think about it, if it is damaged out the box and it made it through the Q&C, the inspection, then would my review for either one of these video transmitters change? No, it's still going to be a bad review, because if it's poor quality, bad review. If it's poor QC, bad review. And that's just the way I see it. Now maybe this thing would perform better if you know, we have a 5 volt voltage regulator that can produce enough current to power everything off of 5 volts. But I mean, who wants to do that? You're now limiting yourself on part selections. And you know, my top 3 flight controllers is going to be the Omnibus, the Betaflight F3, and the DYS F4. And with 2 of those, you don't even use a PDB because it's built into the flight controller. Now with the Omnibus, I could use a separate PDB, and I mean, I would have to find one that's beefy enough, but then I'm limiting myself on PDBs. You know, I already have my favorite PDBs. I don't want to. I'm just going to end it on that note. So overall, I mean, you could probably get this thing working, but I think it's going to be more trouble than what it's worth. And that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.